The Attorney General's timeline, not good enough for House Democrats. You heard Kevin explain that. So let's bring in tonight's power panel. Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall, editor-in-chief of Ricochet.com, John Gabriel, and conservative filmmaker Dinesh D'Souza. Welcome to all of you.
Hi, Shannon.
All right, great to have you guys with us tonight. I want to read something from Adam Schiff. He obviously chairs the Intelligence Committee over in the House. He says Congress has asked for the entire Mueller report and underlying evidence by April 2nd. That deadline stands. In the meantime, Barr should seek court approval, just like in Watergate, to allow the release of grand jury material. Redactions are unacceptable. Release the report. Dinesh, how much of this do you think we're going to get to see, and are the Democrats right to ask for every single thing?
Well, I hope that we get to see more rather than less, for the simple reason that I think that all of this is good for Trump. This is a report that did not find what it set out to find, and it in fact, in a sense, ratifies Trump's narrative. Trump has been saying from the beginning, I didn't collude with the Russians, and that was treated by the media and by the left as ridiculous. And so we've had 2 years of two competing theories. And one of those theories has been proven correct and the other one wrong. So I can kind of see why the Democrats are so discombobulated. It's kind of like they had a nuclear bomb. It was supposed to go off and blow up the whole Trump presidency. It hasn't gone off. So they now want to see the nuclear bomb to find out which part of it didn't work. How come our explosive, we spent all this money on it, we invested so much in it, and it hasn't produced the desired result? Trump is still standing strong.
That's quite a word picture there you've created, Dinesh. Leslie, I want to read you something from the Attorney General's letter. He says this: everyone will soon be able to read it on their own. There are no plans to submit the report to the White House for a privilege review. Does that make you happy? Because listen, he said the president, and you've heard him say it, I don't care, put it out there. The White House is not asking to see it first.
I'm actually surprised
by that. I think that's a good stance.
I'm sorry, for Leslie.
Sorry, I thought you said...
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm actually surprised by that, because there are those, I think even Judge Napolitano on our network have said there must be something because of the ambiguity, if you will, with regard to obstruction of justice, that specifically might be embarrassing, if nothing else, to the president. So I'm happy and I'm surprised. But what I don't like, and what I'm hearing thus far, as we heard in Kevin's report, is I think, and many Democrats, I think, are fearful that we're just going to have pages of paper with a lot of black lines through it, a lot of redaction. Of course, you have the Attorney General, William Barr, who is obligated legally regarding that grand jury testimony, but as Congressman Schiff has pointed out, like in Watergate, he could go to the courts to change that, make it public. I agree with Dinesh that everybody needs to see it, but there's no bombs that we're expecting to go off, Dinesh, as a result of this. Sorry to burst your bubble on that.
All right. Well, John, let me bring you in here, because this is what the president said when he was asked, and he said this repeatedly about whether or not he wants this report to go out in full, what he thinks about the Attorney General and working towards the release.
I have great confidence in the Attorney General, and if that's what he'd like to do, I have nothing to hide. This was a hoax. This was a witch hunt.
But, John, even some of his supporters say there's going to be some stuff in here that may be embarrassing for the president, certainly not rising to the level of a criminal situation, because special counsel and Barr have cleared him of that, but probably some things that his enemies will be able to run with.
Right. I'm sure there'll be tidbits here and there that many in the media, especially on other cable nets, will try to blow up into something equivalent to this grand conspiracy with Russia. But the Democrats really do have a lot of egg on their face with this, and I think it's best for people like Nadler and Schiff just to back off, maybe reassess their strategy, since it's blown up in their faces. It's just made Trump look better, and it's basically solidified his position, so he's stronger heading into 2020.
All right, Senator Feinstein has said she wants it by April 15th. The Attorney General says he'll come up and testify May 1st and 2nd. Show of hands, who thinks he gets it done and gets it to the Hill with all of these redactions and security issues and grand jury issues by April 15th? All right, we got one. Okay, well, we will stand by, and panel, if you'll stand by for us, we have much more to discuss with you on the political news front tonight. Thank you all.
All right, joining us now, President Trump's attorney, former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Mr. Mayor, good to see you. Thank you for being with us.
Sean, that was an absolutely terrific monologue, I have to say.
Coming from you, those are high words of praise, sir. And we've been friends a long time.
We have.
You used to call into my late-night radio show. That's how far back, when you were mayor. You know, a full, complete vindication especially obstruction's out. I mean, the Attorney General said it's over, quoted Mueller. Also said he'd release the report. This wasn't a comprehensive summary of the report. But it's interesting, while no, Mueller didn't make a decision on the obstruction side of things, he just laid it out and handed it to the Justice Department, which then immediately, clearly, the Attorney General and Rod Rosenstein said no.
Well, I mean, first of all, one of the things the Democrats are doing today and the day before, on collusion, let's be clear, Mueller did reach a conclusion that there was no collusion of any kind. He went so far as to say, he used all the words you could possibly use: conspiracy, coordination, not just with the president, but with the entire staff. So that's about, and that comes from Mueller. On obstruction, he said, I don't find any basis to charge a crime, but I can't exonerate him. And the difficult issues of law and fact, I imagine he had like a dispute in his staff, but none of it amounts to any finding of a crime. And prosecutors are not supposed to exonerate generally. So he apparently 3 weeks ago, he gave it to the Attorney General, Rosenstein, and the Office of Legal Counsel. They spent 3 weeks looking at it and came to the conclusion I've told you from the very beginning. This whole obstruction theory is a creation of Andrew Weissman, who's created crimes before and been reversed by the Supreme Court of the United States for finding crimes out of the thin air. And in that case, against businessmen he didn't like. In this case, against Donald Trump, who he despises. I mean, this is a Hillary Clinton partisan. This is a guy who worked with Peter Strzok, who we know hates Trump. I mean, Mueller had on his staff 8 or 9 Trump haters, which is unprecedented in the prosecution staff. So if they didn't find a basis to charge him with anything, they exonerated him. They did everything they could, including putting a man in solitary confinement for 8 or 9 months to break him, and they couldn't break him. So this is about as big an exoneration as I've ever seen, and I've been in the prosecution business for, I don't know, since 1970s. And to try to reverse it is, I mean, I think they look foolish and they look pathetic. And I am confident that I said this from the very beginning. I haven't read the report. I haven't seen it. They can put out every part of it. It is not going to show either one. Otherwise, you couldn't come to the conclusions you came to. And second, if they have a few nasty facts in there, I'm ready to slam it down their throat. Because we have an 87-page report, which we will use. And there are some things that the special counsel did that I don't think they're going to want people to hear. They acted in ways that outrage me as a person who cares about justice.
You know, let's start with the team that was appointed. How do you justify only Democratic donors being appointed by Mueller? How do you justify hiring Hillary Clinton's attorney? You know, you mentioned Andrew Weissman. We have gone over this record a lot. As a result, he was held responsible for withholding exculpatory evidence. Tens of thousands of Enron accounting people lost their jobs, overturned 9-0 in the Supreme Court. That doesn't happen a lot. And then put 4 Merrill executives in jail for a year. That was overturned by the Fifth Circuit. How does somebody like that get chosen in this? I have a big problem, Mr. Mayor.
Well, you should have a big problem, Sean. It's outrageous, and it never should happen again. I mean, I had great respect for Bob Mueller. When he was first appointed, although, you know, I said, well, yeah, this is a fair guy. Then when he picked the staff that he picked, I thought he kind of lost his mind. I mean, you don't pick a counsel to the Clinton Foundation to investigate Donald Trump any more than if I were investigating Hillary, I'd pick counsel to the Trump Foundation. If I did, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and all those characters would go nuts. So that was the first giveaway. Weissman is probably the most notorious federal prosecutor you could find. Everything done wrong in this investigation, he's done wrong before. He charged non-crimes. That was the Supreme Court reversed him for. He charged people with things that are not crimes. Well, he's done that in this case. Obstruction, that's his crazy theory. Not a legitimate theory. And the prosecution of Cohen for campaign fraud. That's ridiculous theory. He made it up.
Last quick question, and by the way, I'm nobody that should be questioning. I know your legal background. You were in the Southern District of New York. as prestigious. You prosecuted some of the toughest mob guys in the country. Why waive executive privilege? Why would, I don't think that should happen. Maybe I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Well, I think the question is, if there's any kind of privilege asserted, it's going to be, oh, what's there, what's there, what's there. I can't give you an opinion on executive privilege. I'm not the White House counsel and I'm not Barr. I don't see all of that. I can only give you the opinion as a private lawyer. I don't care what they put out. He didn't collude. He didn't obstruct. God, do we have to say it again?
You're right.
And I can prove it. So give me what you got, and I will knock it out of the ballpark. With the truth. How about that? The truth.
I do. It's 87 pages, your report. I want to see it.
Yeah, well, you'll see it someday, and I hope I don't have to use it. But if we have to use it, he didn't collude. He didn't obstruct. Grow up, guys. It's like getting used to the fact he got elected. Go see a psychiatrist. Calm down. And adjust to the real world.
Well, I want to see that. I want to see the FISA applications. I want to see 302's gang of 8.
That one's going to lead to perjury prosecutions. Guaranteed.
The president says he's going to release it.
Off.
Told me on Wednesday.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, thank you for being with us on this busy breaking news night.